Nice.
Got that out before we started recording.
That was a good one. That one kind of scared me a
I
bit.
know, I didn't even expect that. It just came out.
Those are usually the best ones.
All right, you might have to keep an eye on the chat tonight. I mean, I'll pull
Okay.
it up, but I won't be able to switch back and forth very easily. I
Okay.
can't wait to get my laptop.
Yeah, I've got to get a new one. Like this one, I even tried to use it at work today, and I'm like, man, this thing's a piece of shit.
Yeah. I'm getting a
It's
new.
just. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm getting a new MacBook Pro as soon as I get my money for selling the house.
Yeah, I don't know when I'm gonna get one, but I need one fairly soon.
All right, stream is good, so we are holding strong.
All right,
Looks
I'm
like
waiting
Twitch is
for
going good.
the Facebook page to load so I can share it.
All right, I'll give you a minute to do that before I start the show. Oh yeah, OBS is using way less CPU now.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's hovering right around like 19%. It was at like 30, 35. So my computer is handling it much, much better now.
Why are you not pasting? Oh, there you go. We are live talking Pikmin.
Yep. Pikmin. Pikmin.
Pikmin. All right, why is it not letting me post it?
Not Pac-Man, but Pikmin.
Yeah. Not to be confused with Pikmin 2 or 3.
So what do you think about the freaking Spider-Man news, man? I'm so upset right now.
I think the heads of Disney and Sony need to lock themselves in a room. I don't care if it takes all night. I don't care if it takes a couple of days. They can't afford to lose each other
They
at
know
this point.
this.
Because I'm sorry, if they reboot Spider-Man, I have zero interest in that.
I have a feeling they're going to come to some sort of agreement within the next day or two. And if they don't, and it goes back to Sony, I say we band together as fans, all of us, several 100 million of us, and we just completely boycott any new Spider-Man movies by Sony.
Oh, that's what I plan to do. If they reboot it, I'm not going to go see it. I will not watch it in a theater. I won't watch it at home. Anything.
No. Nope. I mean, don't get me wrong. Into the Spider-Verse was great. That was a really good movie. But when it comes to live-action Spider-Man, like they do not know what they're doing.
Especially the way they ended Far From Home. Like that can't be the end of the Tom Holland era of Spider-Man.
I mean, we got to get Happy and Aunt May together for real at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
If this goes through and they make another, like, I think because Tom Holland signed on to do 2 more solo Spider-Man movies.
Mm-hmm.
I think for the next one, the villain's got to be Kraven the Hunter.
I think that's who they were planning on having as the next villain.
And they should get The Rock to play him because The Rock can play anything.
That'd be awesome. I'm totally okay with that.
And I'm glad we finally set a date for the wrestling show.
Yeah.
I'm super stoked for it.
I hope Wally can be there for it. His computer is down at the moment, and I told him, I was like, dude, you could just use your phone and we'll do Skype because I don't want to not have him on that show.
Is Joey gonna be on?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Perfect. All right. Facebook finally posted.
All right, good. Well, I'm good to go if you are.
Yep, I'm all set.
Here we go. You recording
I'm pulling up the chat now
too?
With the laptop set up, I cannot.
Ooh, well, I hope my computer's doing good, so I'm sure it won't crap out. Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Do you like this show and you want to help support us? Do you want us to stay ad-free? Do you want extra episodes every month? Of course you do. Then head over to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro and become a Patreon supporter of this very show. Greetings, programs, and welcome back to another edition of the Nerd Cave Retro Show. And my name is Jason Robbins.
And my name is Derek Diamond.
We got some bad news a little while ago. I know this isn't retro gaming news, but Sony and Disney, or Sony and Marvel Studios, are at odds over the future of Spider-Man and its uncertainty at this point. And I'm upset.
You blew it!
Mom and Dad are fighting.
Damn it. I don't like it.
All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll dive right into this story. This comes to us from IGN. So this broke earlier. Now there has been a little bit of an update to it since I first saw it. I saw this on Twitter earlier today, and I actually posted on Facebook. I said, "You've got to be kidding me." The headline reads, Spider-Man out of the MCU if Marvel and Sony can't reach deal. So the story has been updated since original published with new reports from the trades and our own sources. Spider-Man's future in the MCU remains unclear due to a series of reports detailing a breakdown of negotiations between Sony Pictures and Disney/Marvel. Deadline first reported that Marvel will not produce any further Spider-Man films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe due to an inability between Sony Pictures and Disney to release new terms that would have given Disney a co-financing stake moving forward. Later, Variety made Spider-Man's fate seem a bit murkier, reporting that Sony and Marvel had reached an impasse in negotiations, but that a source indicates a deal might still be reached between Disney and Sony, but there are no talks currently going on.
Luke wanted to weigh in on the news, and he doesn't like the Spider-Man thing. Do you, kitty? You don't like it?
No, he doesn't. So I will say this with all due respect to Sony and to Marvel/Disney. Have you lost your minds?
Here, I have
this
something
was
to play
the
for
best
that.
thing that happened to Spider-Man.
These
are easily the best live-action Spider-Man movies that have ever been made.
Yeah.
His inclusion in the MCU has been fantastic. Tom Holland is great. All the other characters have been really good, really well cast. I don't want there to be a reboot. It cannot happen. If it happens, I will not watch any of the rebooted Spider-Man movies. I will say that right now. I will boycott anything that Sony does, minus the animated movies. Those are actually really good. But as far as live action goes, I will not watch any of them if this falls through.
Yeah, we were talking about that before we started, and I think this is something we could actually band together as fellow nerds, all couple of 100 million of us that love these movies. That if they don't come to some sort of agreement and it goes back to a full Sony property and they reboot the franchise, we are going to boycott. And I think that's something we could actually pull off. A full boycott.
Think of it. Even if they continue with the Tom Holland movies, they can't mention anything with Thanos and the Snap. They can't mention Tony Stark. They would have to basically start from scratch. Yeah. Because I don't know how you move on and not mention anything that's previously happened, because Tony Stark was such a huge influence on this incarnation of Spider-Man.
Yep.
That you might as well reboot it. But the thing is, if you do that, people are going to shit all over it.
I know.
It's, as they say down here in the South, it ain't going to be pretty if that happens.
You sent me a message a little while ago, and another friend of mine both sent me messages almost the same time. Was just like, Spider-Man's not in the MCU anymore, and I was like, and I was taking a nap at the time, and I was like, am I dreaming? Like, is this real? And then I get on Facebook, I'm just like, like my face hurts from the face palming that I was doing at the time, and I don't even have. I'm gonna do it again.
You blew it!
I have nothing to say. I can't formulate my thoughts right now into something coherent. So
It's great when corporate greed ruins a fan base.
I'm gonna give it. I'm hoping that they will come to some sort of agreement in the next couple of days. If not, that'll give me a week to kind of formulate my thoughts, so that we can have a better discussion next week.
They've got to figure it out.
They have to.
But between the two of them, like, how can they not?
I don't know.
If anything, Disney should just buy the rights. They have the money.
That's what I said. I texted my other friend. I was like, Disney's got the money. Why don't they just swoop in and just, pay $5 billion for the character? I mean, they'll make their money back.
And they've made, that plus more already this year. Yeah. And they'll make it back next year. So it's like, what does it matter?
That's pocket change to Disney at this point. So what does it matter?
Not to sound extremely vulgar, but we need Disney to just flop their dick out right now.
Right now, just the big Mickey Mouse dick, just right on the table. Here's $5 million. And someone would be like, okay.
Just give them something that they would be complete idiots to turn down.
Yeah. Ugh, man, I don't like it. I don't like this. I knew this day was going to come. I just didn't think it would be this soon.
Yeah, I figured it would happen maybe within like the next 3 years.
Yeah.
I figured there'd be at least another Spider-Man film.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 more, and then they would have some type of a disagreement about money, but
because I didn't know how long the contract was for. I thought it was gone, it was kind of it was almost like an in perpetuity type of thing. I didn't know there was like a set time limit for it.
Yeah, it's just not. It's not a good time.
It is not.
It hasn't been a good afternoon.
Well, is there anything else you wanted to talk about before we go into the news for this evening?
Exciting news. As of the day we're recording this, there are 5 baseball games left.
Nice. Almost there.
Friday through Tuesday, and then that's it.
Fantastic. I bet you're excited.
I'll just be happy to, have a normal schedule. Like you can tell around the office that everyone's just kind of ready for it to be over, but I think the 5 days are going to be the longest just because you can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know how it is. Like if I compare it to if you're going to go on a vacation, the week leading up to it just takes forever because you have something you're looking forward to.
Yes. Oh yeah.
So happy to, wrap up the season and then have time to work on other projects. I'll be starting back my podcast the week after that, and look forward to some fall weather.
Yeah, I know. I'm so looking forward to cooler weather. The weather's awful. Spider-Man's not in the MCU anymore. Dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
Mass hysteria.
Oh, boy.
Great stuff.
Let's go ahead and move into the news, shall we?
Sure.
Hold on, let me bring this up real quick. And there we go. Well, they must have been listening to our show a few weeks ago when I mentioned this very thing. This is on bloodydisgusting.com. SplatterHouse finally added to the Turbografx-16 Mini. So, like me, you were probably disappointed that Konami hadn't included SplatterHouse in their upcoming Turbografx-16 Mini retro console. Yes, I agree with that sentence. Truthfully, the system never had a lot of horror titles, which made this decision especially egregious. Let's see. Luckily, Konami has listened to old school gamer complaints and has actually added an additional 7 games to the system, one of which is Namco's Classic. The other 6 non-Splatterhouse games to be added are the Japanese language Galaga 88, Dragon Spirit, The Legend of Valkyrie, the Genji and the Heike clans, Sarai Senshi, How do you say that? Sarai Senshi.
Sairi Senshi Spriggan.
Yes, Sari Senshi Spriggan and Spriggan Mark II. The full list of games now includes 25 English language games and 32 Japanese language games. It will be $99.99 as an Amazon exclusive and comes out March 19th, 2020. Just for Splatterhouse alone makes me way more interested in purchasing the Turbografx-16 Mini. I really wish they would have made it a little more about an $80 price point, but there is a lot of games on this thing, so kind of evens out.
Yeah, I still think 100 for me personally is still a bit too much.
Yeah.
I may still end up getting it anyway, just because I never experienced the TurboGrafx.
Yeah. And I always wanted
But-
one, so this is looking more and more interesting to me as it goes along.
Yeah, and March will be here before you know it. I mean, we'll have the Genesis Mini coming out next month to tie us over,
Yeah.
and then we'll have this. So it's good timing because when the Genesis comes out, that'll give us new content to review, and so will this, I think.
Yeah, I think so, and that'll give us a lot of expansion in our library of things to review, and I'm excited for that. Like, don't get me wrong, I still love the Nintendo and doing Nintendo titles, but I really want to expand out and start doing some different consoles.
Yeah, same. I know after I do my review this week, I'm going to post a poll on Patreon with a few games that I have in mind, and let the patrons decide.
Yeah.
Let's see. Our next story comes to us from Forbes.com. SNES games could be coming to Nintendo Switch soon. New patent suggests it's about time. The Nintendo Switch and the SNES is a match made in heaven, or at least it seems like one. Modern pixel art games that call back to the golden age of 16-bit graphics already thrive on this system, lifted both by the hardware and broad nostalgia for those classics like Super Metroid, Link to the Past, and more. And now it seems we may actually get a chance to play some more of those Nintendo-developed SNES classics on the new console, even if there's no announcements or specifics yet. Let's see. A recent patent filing from Nintendo should look very familiar to anyone over the age of 25 or so. It's a Bluetooth controller with a distinctive shape, mostly rectangular with two bulbs at either end, forming the basis of what would eventually become the standard controller design that dominates today. It's clearly an SNES controller, echoing the NES controllers that Nintendo made available for playing older games on the Switch. I mean, I think it was really only a matter of time.
Yeah.
The demand, and I could see this being possibly something that is as early as Christmas.
Yeah.
Is the first batch of Super Nintendo games being released for the Switch.
Well, honestly, I never got the Nintendo controllers for the Switch to play the 8-bit games on, because I've been kind of hoping that they would come out with an SNES style controller, because that's what I use to play, all of my ROMs with on the computer. It's based off the SNES controller, because that was always my favorite controller, even to play regular Nintendo games on. It's just such a comfortable controller to play with, way more comfortable than the original NES controllers. So even if this, I don't see why they would put this out without having Super Nintendo games finally out on the Switch. So I just wish they would go ahead and announce something.
Yeah, and one last little note on this article. It says this would be consistent with a data mine earlier in the year that found files relating to a bunch of SNES games inside the online service, which I believe we talked about earlier in the year. This was posted on Twitter around January. It was posted by @CappuccinoHeck, Cappuccino with a K. I was finally able to look around NES online strings a bit myself and noticed the sheer amount of SNES games planned that include Super Mario Kart, Link to the Past, Demon's Crest, Yoshi's Island, Kirby's Dream Course, Star Fox, Contra 3, Super Ghouls and Ghost, Kirby's Dream Land 3, Super Metroid, Super Mario World, Pilot Wings, and F-Zero.
That just sounds like a fun weekend right there.
I think if you release those, that's a very solid list, because you've got the known Mario games. You've got Zelda, and you've got Metroid.
Yep.
And I would even throw in, Star Fox and F-Zero right below that. If you have that, that's a solid start to your Super Nintendo library.
Yeah, if they drop all of those at once, holy crap. That's
I
a
know.
lot of games to drop.
That will be what gets me to play Link to the Past again, all the way through.
I will play that game any day, anywhere, on any system.
Yeah.
That's probably, I will go ahead and say it, the most perfect video game that's ever been made.
It's definitely up there.
Don't you say it's definitely up there? It's the best game ever made. You go ahead and you admit it right now.
We've had this discussion.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong.
So what's our next story?
Let's see. One more story to take us out for tonight in the news section, if I can get it. I don't want your pop-ups, Wired. Stop it. All right, from Wired.com. This is the most,
It's an obnoxious website.
It is obnoxious.
I had to close 3 pop-up ads.
Okay, Nintendo is taking down... The reason I put this in here is because this is probably going to end up affecting us a little bit, because we do play music from the games. We start off at the very beginning talking about our Patreon with the Ninja Gaiden music, and we always play music from... Mario, and we play music from the games that we review. But Nintendo is taking down YouTube archives of its music. Welcome to Replay. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. Nintendo is taking down the archives. First off, Nintendo has every right to request that YouTube take down archives of its video game music. Second, that's still a bummer. As Kotaku reports, Nintendo has recently started throwing down copyright strikes against YouTube channels that archive their games and music for casual listening. Gilva Sunner, a channel that archived music from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time and Super Smash Bros. 3DS, among many others, received at least 115 copyright claims regarding music from Fire Emblem Awakening, with other channels also reporting similar strikes. What do you think about this? I mean, I understand this, but it's not like Nintendo makes money off of offering up archives of its music. I don't understand why they would do this.
If Nintendo is going to do it, then they should create their own YouTube channel with all their music on it, available for everyone.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
I just don't understand Nintendo sometimes. It's like they don't.
It doesn't make any sense. It's not hurting anything.
Yeah. I just don't get it. They're just so. It's like they don't understand the internet or something. I don't get it.
No, they really don't.
I mean, what?
They really don't.
I hope we don't get struck for playing music from Gunsmoke. Or, Excite Bike or something. Like, who cares? It's 8-bit music from games that are 30-something years old. And it's the only way to listen to these songs is on YouTube.
It makes absolutely zero sense. I mean, well, I understand why, because it's their property, but at the same time, it's not like people just post like a graphic with the game's logo on it, and it's a music track.
Yeah.
I use YouTube to listen to video game music all the time.
Yeah.
But like I said before, if you're going to pull all of your music from other people's YouTube channels, then make a Spotify channel, make your own YouTube channel, and call it Nintendo Music.
Yep.
And post all of it there. And that gives people access to it.
That's all they have to do. Same thing with their Nintendo library for the Nintendo Switch. Just vomit out about 200 games and you'll make us happy. And make it worth it. I mean, come on. Come on, Nintendo. Time to get out of the 80s and into the future.
Exactly.
But I guess it's time to go ahead and move into the news. Oh, not the news. This month in video game history. August of 1983, Sega releases Astron Belt in Europe as the first Laserdisc game in the region.
Sounds like a constellation,
It does.
like a real life constellation.
In
Let's
the
see.
Astron Belt.
It's a form of a third-person space combat rail shooter released in 1983 by Sega in Japan and licensed to Bally Midway for release in the U.S. And the cover art's kind of interesting.
It's not bad.
No. I mean, I've never heard of this game personally, but still, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, I think I remember talking about it last year.
On August 23rd, 1983, Origin Systems publishes Ultima 3 Exodus, one of the first role-playing video games to use tactical turn-based combat. It is released for the Apple II, Atari 800, Commodore 64, and IBM PC.
Already on Ultima 3 by 1983. It's crazy.
Yeah, they were just
Still
pumping
going
those things
today.
out.
Yeah, they were.
Man.
August of 1986, Balloon Fight, an action video game developed by Nintendo. The original arcade version was released for the Nintendo Versus system as Versus Balloon Fight, and its Nintendo Entertainment System counterpart was an internationally, if I can talk tonight, released in 1986. Balloon Fight's one of the games that they have on the Nintendo Switch, and I always loved Balloon Fight. That's such a fun game to play.
I believe it's on the NES Classic as well.
Mm-hmm.
Which is I didn't really play it when I was younger, but I've played it a few times on the Classic, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a takeoff.
I actually
on
like
Joust.
it quite a bit.
It's kind of a Joust clone, but I actually think I like Balloon Fight better than Joust.
On August 22nd, 1987, Nintendo releases The Legend of Zelda in America and Europe a year after being available in Japan. It's crazy to think that that franchise is now almost, before you know it, it'll be 35 years old.
I know. Starting to make you feel old, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Also,
but no, Zelda's, we've said so much about Zelda. It's my personal favorite franchise, and the first game is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm still excited for the next. What are they calling the next one? Is it gonna be called Breath of the Wild 2?
I'm sure they'll come up with some other name for it, but it is a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I love that game so much.
Yeah. I want to start a new file, but I don't want to erase my old one.
Yeah, me too. I have that same predicament. I don't know why they won't let you do multiple files. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Also in August of 1987, August 28th to be exact, Konami releases Castlevania II Simon's Quest, the second Castlevania title released for the NES, and the game that I'm going to be reviewing for Halloween Horror Month this year. Because I've done 1 and 3, I still haven't done 2. I've done the good ones, now I got to do the bad ones.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we say every now and then on this show. We have reviews every now and then that just aren't good. We've both recently reviewed bad games.
Yeah, we did.
But it does fit in with the theme.
Honestly, I don't think Simon's Quest is going to end up being a bad game because I've heard that it's very enjoyable if you use a walkthrough with it. Because the problem with the game is originally it's very hard to understand while you're playing the game because the translation from kanji to American or English, kanji takes up a lot less room, a lot less space than the English language does. And I learned this on the video game years. So when it translated to the English language, there wasn't enough room. So you get these weird, cryptic instructions on what you're supposed to do in the game. So it comes across as, broken English and very hard to understand things that you're supposed to do. So if you have a walkthrough, it's actually, I've heard it's a very enjoyable game because, you actually understand what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I saw you and Brandon Rutledge had a brief convo on Facebook about that.
But I'm excited to play it. I love the first one. Third one, I remember, if I remember correctly, it had way too many damn stairs in it, but still a good game nonetheless. First one's still a classic. That's all. That will always be my favorite.
Yeah. I still got to figure out games to review in October for our
And
Halloween month.
did we tell everyone what we're going to be doing for the month of Halloween this year? We're going to do those 2 extra episodes.
I don't think we discussed it on the actual show.
Do we want to
I think we talked about it after.
now, or do we want
Let's save it for the end.
Okay. Oh, yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah. I'll actually make a note right now.
Okay. Yeah, because I'll forget.
But on August 27th of 1992, Nintendo releases Super Mario Kart, the first in the Mario Kart series, creating the mascot/go-kart subgenre of racing games.
Love Mario Kart.
Yeah, I was actually playing Double Dash a couple of days ago. You know, the first Mario Kart game doesn't quite hold up like you would think, but it's still such an iconic piece of video game history.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it started a revolution of racing
I
games.
mean, we're still playing them, and they're still good.
Yeah. And there's really not a terrible Mario Kart game out there.
No, I don't think so. I of course, I never played the one for N64, but so I don't know how well that one holds up.
The Mario Kart 64 game is okay. It's towards the bottom of my, you know, if I were to rank all the Mario Kart games, it would be towards the bottom.
Yeah.
But it's still enjoyable.
I'd love to play it though. I would like to have Mario Kart for every system. Actually, I thought I almost got really lucky. I thought I found a Nintendo Wii at the Goodwill the other day for $5, a black Wii.
Oh,
And
wow. I
with
didn't
all
know
the-
those things existed.
With all the controllers, I'm like, this thing's nice. It was $5. So I'll bring it up to the front, and she's like, oh, the bag of accessories goes to a different one. That's $50. I'm like, if I'm going to pay $50 for a Wii, I'm going to go to the Play and Talk and get one that I know works, you know?
Yeah.
I don't trust the Goodwill that says works or as is, $50. I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do that.
No.
But we got 2 more before we get out of here for this month in video game history. August 6th of 1996, AOL buys Sierra's Imagination Network from AT&T for a reported $15 million. Now, I do not remember the Imagination Network. Was that the online? Yes, I think so. Sierra Online. I'm trying to... There's a lot of text here.
Yeah.
But I remember that was some sort of online way to play the Sierra games. And that seems like, I mean, that's, even for 1996, that doesn't sound like a lot of money, you know, $15 million.
Yeah. It's crazy to think that that was around the time, or maybe a little bit before then, that was when the internet really became a public thing.
Yeah. Well,
and now I can't think of life without it.
AOL had only been around for like, what, 2 or 3 years by that point?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Let's see. To close us out month in video game history, on August 24th, 1996, the Valve Corporation is founded.
Valve. Well, now we have Steam, where we get lots of computer games for cheap.
Or as we sometimes like to call them, Visia games.
Visia games. Of course, Valve created Half-Life, which everyone's angry that they haven't come out with a new Half-Life game in like 15 years. Counter-Strike, which people still play to this day. Portal, have you ever played Portal? Dude, Portal is so fun.
I've heard about it. I've never played it. I know there's a second one too,
Yes.
right?
It's just as good as the first one. You need to play Portal. That is a puzzle game for the ages.
Yeah, I need to check it out.
They made Team Fortress, the Team Fortress series, the Left 4 Dead series, and the Dota 2 games. So Valve has led quite a legacy over the last 22, 23 years.
Yeah. You want to know what 4 of the most most in-demand words are in the world of video games?
What?
Half-Life 3 confirmed.
Yeah, that's never going to happen.
Nah, if it were going to come out, I think it would have done so by now.
Yeah, and when it finally does come out, I think it'll suffer the same fate as Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah, I was hoping that game would do well.
Yeah,
I mean,
we
I never
all
played
were.
Duke Nukem, but I like the idea of Duke Nukem.
Yeah, I love playing Duke Nukem back in the 90s, but he didn't translate well to the 2000s.
No, they did not.
But before we go into our review for tonight, I would just like to mention that if you would like to help support this show and you would like for us to do extra episodes every month, like our commentary episodes where we do commentary tracks for video game or geeky films, such as The Wizard, which we've done before, and Super Mario Brothers, the movie, which is, I think, Derek and my favorite episode we've ever done for this show. If you would like to do that, us to do that every month, get us back up to that $50 level, so where we can do that every month for you guys. So it's just $1, $2, or $3 a month, whatever you want to give us. And just head over there to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro and throw us a few bucks a month. Anything you want to add to that, Mr. Derek?
I do not. So I'm to let the listeners know and those who are watching live, I'm using my laptop because my desktop decided to do a automatic update about 45 minutes before we were supposed to go live, which as I look over, it was at, I think, 18% when we started, and it's sitting at a nice 27.
Oh, awesome. So that ought to be about
Yeah.
a 3-day update.
Yeah, so I'm just going to let it sit for the night.
Awesome.
I'm going to try and log into the Patreon to give our patrons a shout out. So I'll work on that, and we'll do that at the end of the show.
Okay. Well, let me go ahead and play a little music here. That was weird.
Oh, I love that theme song. So this is actually a first for this podcast. Now, this is something that you and I have talked about the last couple of weeks. Where does the GameCube fit when it comes to retro gaming? You know, because in 3D, you know, it's intimate that we're used to talking about.
Ooh, Discord just kind of pooped out for a second. So
Both
you're
are
really laggy. I may need to pause for a moment. Or at least let Derek catch up.
You there?
Yep. Okay, you're caught up now. You might have to start over.
No, I'll restart my review.
Okay.
Well, it's going to be because...
Oh, no. Come on, Discord. Don't do this.
Fuck.
It was like we got a bad bump in the internet. Let's just give it a second to catch back up.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay? Okay, I think I might need to pause and then I'll just call you right back. Is that okay?
It's still lagging really bad on my end.
Yeah, I'm going to pause the recording real quick. I'm going to leave the call, and then I'm going to call you right back.
All right.
How's that? Much better.
Okay, cool.
All right, here we go. And 3, 2, 1. All right, we're back. Hopefully everything is hunky-dory.
All right, so this is actually going to be a first.
Really, Discord? You're going to do this
fourth
now?
show because Is it doing it again?
Oh my god! Every time you go to talk, it just like you just freeze for like 2 or 3 seconds.
Son of a bitch.
You seem to be okay now.
Am I good now?
Yeah, you seem to be fine now.
All right. All right. The only thing I have open is Discord and the Wikipedia page with the Pikmin.
Okay.
And nothing else should be running. Let me shut down.
Because everything's green on my end. Everything's going out to Twitch really good. So the only thing that's messing up is Discord.
Yeah, and I've got green on my end too.
Yeah. You sound fine now. I think whatever that was, it's gone. Maybe just a hiccup in the pipe.
Okay. All right, I'm not running. Let's see. I'm not running any Adobe programs. Yeah, I think I should be fine.
Yeah, I think everything's okay now. And make a
All right, shall we try again?
Yep. Let's do it.
All right, do I just start whenever?
Yeah, I'm just going to cut all this out for the
Okay.
audio portion.
All right, in 3, 2, 1. So this is actually going to be a first for this podcast because Jason and I have been discussing over the last couple of weeks is where does the GameCube fit when it comes to retro gaming? Because the GameCube was made in the early 2000s. And my thought was I've reviewed games that have come out in the year 2000 or later. I know Majora's Mask came out in 2000. I've done at least a couple of other ones that have been a, post 2000 release. So us two plus a couple of the listeners were like, yeah, I think GameCube would be fine. And I knew that when we started reviewing GameCube games, there was one game that I wanted to be the first, and that is what I will be reviewing this evening, the Nintendo GameCube classic Pikmin.
And I know this is going to sound bad, and I might have to turn in my retro gaming nerd card, but I'd never even heard of Pikmin until you mentioned it.
Well, let me educate you on Pikmin, because this is, when it comes to GameCube games, if I had to pick my 3 favorite, Wind Waker would be on there. Smash Brothers Melee would be probably number 2, and number 3 would be this one. So Pikmin is a real-time strategy and puzzle video game developed and published by Nintendo for the GameCube in 2001. It was created and produced by Shigeru Miyamoto and is the first game in the Pikmin series. The player controls Captain Olimar, an alien who crash lands on a mysterious planet where he befriends creatures called Pikmin and uses their abilities to collect the parts for the SS Dolphin, his beloved ship. The player has 30 days to recover the pieces and repair the ship. So I remember seeing trailers and other previews for this game, and it looked fairly interesting because it wasn't a type of game that I was used to playing. I was strictly, platformer, and I would play Zelda and other RPG type games. I was never really big into puzzle games other than the occasional round of Tetris. But the world of Pikmin kind of drew me in. And this being, it wasn't, I don't think it was a launch title. I think it came out roughly a month after the GameCube was released. The same thing happened with Smash Brothers Melee. And from the beginning of playing it, I was hooked because this game is addictively fun. And I kind of gave a brief overview of what the story is. So you play as this alien named Captain Olimar. He's flying through space in his ship, and he gets hit by a meteorite and crashes on this planet. And when he enters the atmosphere, his ship practically falls apart, and all of his parts are scattered throughout the planet. When you land, you find what's an onion, because it's called an onion and it's kind of shaped like that. And the onion is what houses the Pikmin. And there are 3 different types of Pikmin that you can use. First, you discover the red ones, which are kind of they're the strongest fighters. So whenever you fight the different wildlife throughout the planet, reds are primarily what you want to have because they're the strongest, and you can just take like 50 Pikmin out, and you can kill most enemies fairly easily if you just swarm them. because you control them with the C stick. You can move them in whatever direction you want. You can throw them onto enemies,
So
or
how do
if, like I said, if you have a ton of them, you can just swarm like a small enemy and they'll kill them practically instantly. They're almost like ants in a
how do
way.
you use them? Are they like um I don't understand how you use them.
Okay, so you use the Pikmin when you find your ship part. So Olimar can't pick a ship part up by himself. So say like the first thing you find is the ship's engine.
Mhm.
Olimar obviously can't pick that up. So you use the Pikmin to carry it for you, and they carry the parts back to the ship. And depending on the size of the part, there are different amounts of Pikmin that you have to use. So say like if you throw one Pikmin onto a ship part, it'll show you how many Pikmin you need to carry it.
Okay.
So that's the primary objective, but you can also you find these little seed pellets that the Pikmin take to their onion, and that will sprout more Pikmin. So say, and depending on what color they are, so say you'll find different seeds with different numbers on them. So say if you find a red one that has the number 1 on it, if you get a red Pikmin to carry it to the red onion, it'll sprout out 2 because it's the same color. Whereas if you get a yellow one and it carries a red one, it only sprouts out 1. And all the Pikmin have different abilities. Like I said, the red ones are your fighters, and they're also immune to fire. Because as you advance in the game, you find enemies that have kind of strange abilities. So I can't remember the exact name of it because they all have weird names, but you find what basically looks like an anteater that can spit fire out of its nose. So if you try and attack it with a yellow one or a blue one, then it's going to burn them. Whereas if you attack them with a red one, it's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
Yellow Pikmin are lighter in weight, so you can throw them up to higher platforms, and they also carry what are called bomb rocks. You find rocks with yellow cracks in them, and you can throw them at stone walls, and it will cause them to fall down because you have to knock some of those down to progress further in the area that you're in. And then blue ones have little gills on them because they're the only ones that can go underwater. The other ones will just drown. I've learned that the hard way through playing this game several times. Because there are some parts that you'll find that are buried underwater. And so you'll have to take like 50 blue Pikmin into one area and get them to carry it. And that's what you learn throughout the game, because the areas get bigger as well. So say like the more ship parts that you find, it increases the ship's flying capability. And there are 5 different areas, I believe, that you go to. Let's see, there's 5. And you can say, for example, if you know where all the ship parts are, because one that you find early in the game is your radar, and you can use that to actually look at a map and see where the ship parts in that area are located. Mm-hmm. And you can send, say, 30 blue Pikmin underwater to carry, another part. And then you can run back to the onion, grab some yellow Pikmin and throw them up on a ledge where another part's at and get them to carry that. So you learn to multitask throughout the game. And I think what makes this game stand out more than the others is that with this one, you have that sense of urgency. So you have 30 days to repair your ship because Olimar is oxygen is very toxic to him. Mm-hmm. And his suit's life support will only last 30 days. So you have up until then to find all the ship's parts. Now, it turns out you don't need all of them. I think you need 25 out of the 30, and there are 5 that are just more like accessories that you don't really need. If you find the correct parts in 30 days, he'll take off and he'll go back home. If he does not, then you can probably guess what happens. So I know I threw a lot of information out there. So do you have any questions about Pikmin?
It just sort of seemed, it kind of reminds, there was this game out for the Xbox 360 a few years ago, and I'm trying to remember the name of it, but you controlled this guy with the left stick, but he had like all these little minions that you controlled with the right stick. And now I can't remember the name of that game. Lord something or Overlord? Was it Overlord? Do you remember that game?
I don't think so.
That's the vibe I'm getting from this. So let me look up real quick on. Let's see if I can find Overlord, if that's the right Lord.
But one cool little Easter egg, and it's something that you figure out fairly early on in the game. The planet you're on is Earth, and you assume it's years after humans have become extinct, because a lot of the wildlife you'll see have evolved. There are a lot of hybrids of different types of animals. So one of the bosses that you fight was actually, I think, 3 of these you have to fight are these bird-like creatures that are a combination of a bird and a snake. So picture a long, skinny body with a bird's head and beak that can burrow underground.
Huh.
And then go ahead.
It says that Overlord was a 2007 video game for the Xbox, and it centers around simultaneously controlling the Overlord and an army of goblin-like minions to traverse the 3D game world and defeat the 7 heroes who slew the Overlord's predecessor and who have been since corrupted by power. I remember playing this game a few times, and that's just kind of the vibe I'm getting from this, kind of like controlling minions and stuff like that. So I'm still kind of confused as to the gameplay of this. I'm going to have to actually look at some gameplay of this on YouTube, because it seems like this was actually a pretty popular series.
Oh, yeah. No, and it spawned 3 sequels. Pikmin 2 came out for the GameCube a couple of years after that. And Pikmin 2 was a lot of fun, too. It introduces new types of Pikmin, and you don't have a time limit. You go back to Earth to basically find treasure. The third one came out for the Wii U, and that one was okay. But to me, that one, it made the gameplay a little too complicated, because you could play, I believe, as 3 characters at one time. And once you get the hang of it, it makes it really easy, but it almost makes it too easy to accomplish things. Like, I like the first one because you play as just Olimar, and you're looking around, the different areas trying to find your ship parts. And you also have to use your Pikmin to break down certain walls or certain barriers, like building bridges that cross water to reach, an island that has a ship part on it, or using the bomb rocks to destroy walls that block your progress.
Yeah.
So it's much like you mentioned with Overlord. It's you're using other characters to do your bidding. But once you get the hang of it, it's very addicting.
Sounds interesting.
I can't tell you how many times I've played this game. I loved it whenever it first came out for the GameCube. I played through it again a couple of months ago, and then I actually have been even playing it over the last couple of days in prep for the review. And the only drawbacks that I have with it, with the time limit, it makes it very short if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I can beat this game in probably 3 to 4 hours. If I really sit down and play it, then I can beat it with getting all 30 ship parts. Because I almost know from memory where they are, and I know the right strategy. And the camera system kind of sucks.
So it would make more sense, like, if they did sort of an update to this game to make each time you play it, it would be randomly generated where the parts would be. So I guess that was the limitation of the GameCube. You couldn't do something like that.
Yeah. And it's interesting seeing like all the different wildlife that you have to fight, because all of them, as I said, they're pretty basic. So there are these things called spotty bulborbs, which if you look at the box art, you see the thing that the Pikmin's running away from.
Mm-hmm. I was trying to figure out, I was looking at the box art trying to figure out what was going on here.
So that's a small one. Like, that's a baby bulborb.
Mm-hmm.
There are others that are, 5 times that size. But the thing is, like, a lot of these animals are nocturnal. and you're on the planet during the day. So most of them are sleeping. Like these smaller bulborbs, they're not, but they're pretty easy to kill if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But with the big ones, you have to sneak up behind them and then just start throwing them like crazy onto his back. And then he wakes up, he'll kind of shake them off. And if you don't have, another 15 or 20 already on him, he'll just start, eating your Pikmin like candy.
Wow.
But they get a little more complicated as you go on. I know you fight, there are frogs that you have to fight. There's a giant spider that you have to fight that's actually, again, if you know what you're doing, it's really easy. But the last boss that you have to fight, so if you get all 29 ship parts, you have one remaining, you go to this area that's called the final trial, and you fight this thing called Emperor Bulbax, which is, I don't even know how big to describe it, but it's easily the biggest boss in the entire game. And the only way to beat it is to get your yellow Pikmin to throw bomb rocks in its mouth as it's about to try and eat your Pikmin.
Okay.
And that'll stun it for about 10 to 15 seconds. And then you just have to have your red Pikmin on standby and just start throwing like a madman. And it normally takes me 2 days to beat that area because there's a lot of setup to even get to him.
Yeah.
And normally by the time I beat him, it'll be close to sunset because you can't be on the planet at night because all the animals are awake. So you have a time limit for each day. You land at sunrise and you leave at sunset. Like if you're still exploring at sunset, this countdown timer will start. And once it hits 0, it cuts to a cutscene where Olimar runs back to his ship. He'll blow his whistle because that's what you use to call the Pikmin to you.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll go in their onions and you all take off into space. The sad thing is if you leave Pikmin behind, you have to watch them get eaten.
Poor Pikmin.
I know. It's very sad. But another cool little Nintendo trivia for this thing is that Olimar's ship is called the Dolphin, which was the code name for the GameCube.
Oh, that's
before
cool.
it was originally changed to the GameCube.
Yeah. It says here that a spin-off game of the series entitled Hey Pikmin was revealed on September 1st, 2016 for the 3DS and released worldwide on July 28th, 2017.
That one I haven't played. That one's more of a side scroller.
Okay.
So I don't know how that works compared to the others. But, Pikmin 2 will be a game that I review somewhere, farther down the road because Pikmin 2 it's not as good as the first one, but it has elements that make it a lot of fun that are different from the first one.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love this game, and it was really well received when it came out. It was revealed at E3 2001. Pikmin garnered positive reception. IGN praised it for its uniqueness and its stunning graphics with only a few negative points, such as a poor camera. It was awarded the title of Best Puzzle Trivia Parlor Game from the Game Critics Awards, beating out Choo Choo Rocket for the Game Boy Advance. It was also runner-up for Most Original Game. GamePro gave it 5 stars, GameSpot 8.9, IGN gave it a 9.1, Nintendo Life gave it a 9, Metacritic gave it an 89 out of 100. So it did extremely well,
Wow.
as far as critics go. People loved it. And when it comes to puzzle games, it's this and Tetris that are my favorites.
Yeah. I mean, it got really good scores here, so I would love to actually find a copy of this and play it. It sounds like it's pretty fun, and I like good strategy games, so it sounds like it might be right up my alley. And I've been enjoying playing my GameCube too. I'm really enjoying playing the Terminator game. It's really good.
I never got to play that one, but I'm excited to hear about it, and I'm going to look up some gameplay of it as well.
Yeah.
But if you're starting a GameCube collection, this is definitely one of the first that you need to get. It's one of the originals. The gameplay still holds up, and I absolutely love it. It's a game that I can sit down anytime and start a new game, and I can be, content and happy with it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was
Packer81 in the chat room said, hello from Sweden.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching.
So we've had a few
But
viewers, but we're starting to drop, so we might be getting ready to close out for tonight.
yeah. But no, as far as a number score for this game, I'd easily give it a solid 9.
Wow, that's pretty high.
Yeah, the only negative parts about it is that the game is really short, because with me personally, like, I know what I'm doing, and I'm not saying that to brag, but I'm saying that just because I've played it so many times that it's not as much of a challenge to me anymore.
Yeah.
And the camera, like rotating the camera around Olimar and the Pikmin, is a little frustrating, especially when you're fighting a boss.
Yeah, camera was always a bit of a struggle back in those days.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my review of Pikmin. Definitely go play it.
Fantastic. Next week, I'm going to be reviewing Terminator Redemption for the Nintendo GameCube. So if you want to get prepared, you can look at some gameplay from it. And I think that might be Arnold's actual voice in the game. I'm going to have to look that up and make sure. He throws
I hope so.
Arnold one-liners in there.
I don't have a tumor.
Excellent.
Oh man. But is there anything else you wanted to throw out there before we get out of here?
No, I guess if you pulled up the Patreon people, you can give them a shout out, and then we'll do our Halloween announcement.
Let's see. It's saying I have the incorrect password.
Oh, awesome. I can't look
and
it
it's
up
also
right now.
it's not letting me log in on my phone either.
I do remember that, let's see, it was Axblade07 and Daniel Salmon. And one more. I can't remember.
Let's see. Let me try again on my phone. Patreon. Oh, my computer's sitting at a nice 86%.
Fantastic. I guess it's not going to take 3 days to update.
And I may have it.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. No, never mind. That's Nerd Cave Network, not Nerd Cave Retro.
Well, thank you guys anyway for being Patreon supporters. And was it Tyler Watson that's another Patreon supporter? I can't remember.
I'm not sure.
I would bring up Google Chrome because that's where all my passwords are. But it's going to crash my computer if I bring that up. So, because it's a CPU hog.
It does that.
But for our Halloween announcement, Derek and I have decided that Derek, you said you've never seen any of the Halloween movies, right?
I have not.
Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to do 2 separate episodes. We're going to review Halloween 1 and 2, and that's going to be one episode. Then we're going to review Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, as its own separate episode, because that's actually one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Even though people say it sucks, I just have one thing to say. You're wrong. It's a great movie. So we're going to do that one separate.
If I remember right, I think we talked about we're going to review Halloween 1 and 2 on this show. And then we're going to review Halloween 3 on the Derek Diamond Experience.
Yes, that's how we're going to do it.
It's like a companion show.
Yes. So you'll have to listen to this show and then hop over to the Derek Diamond Experience to get the part 2 of part 3 of the Halloween series.
Halloween discussion part 2,
yes.
Halloween 3.
And that is a great movie. So if you want to go ahead and get prepared, you can go ahead and start watching them now, or you can wait till October, which is a great time to watch the Halloween series. So get prepared for that. That's coming in October.
And we've also I'll leave it up to you as whether or not we release the actual date, but we have set a date to finally do the wrestling podcast.
Yes, we'll be recording it next week, actually.
Yeah, next the
20.
Hang on, why's my calendar not pulling up?
It's the 29th.
The 29th.
Yes. And I think we'll release it the next day. So we'll release it on Friday.
On Friday.
On Friday. So I think that's it. Is there anything else you wanted to throw out there before we leave this evening?
Thanks to everyone for the birthday wishes.
Oh yeah,
my birthday was on Sunday, so
Yeah.
that was it was a good chill day.
Wish I could have came
And
over to celebrate it with you, but couldn't get out of town that day.
No worries. No, it was so thanks to everyone who, reached out for the birthday wishes. And the Derek Diamond Experience returns September 5th, which is, I believe, 2 weeks away, which is kind of crazy. So I got to start editing the interviews I have in the can.
Yes.
But with baseball season, about to wrap up, I'm probably going to set aside a full day to knock all that stuff out, so that way it's all over and done with.
Yeah. That's cool.
But other than that, you can follow the show at D Diamond Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
And if you're interested in watching me and Mr. Wallace Phelps do comedy, and you're in the Biloxi area, you can come to the Wayward Kraken Bar on, what is it? What street is that? On Howard Avenue in Biloxi, right next to the View Marché. Come out and watch us do comedy on Monday nights starting at 7:30. And we've been getting some massive crowds in this tiny little bar to see us do comedy. So please, if you're in the area, Monday night, 7:30, come check us out. You could follow it. It's at Craig Kraken, CraigKraken on Twitter, and the Wayward Kraken Bar on Facebook. And you can follow the event page on Facebook. And it's been fun.
Once baseball wraps, I'm definitely going to try and make it out there on a Monday.
You need to. It's so fun. Like, we had so many people in there last night. It was pretty much capacity in that tiny little bar. It was awesome.
That's great.
It's been getting bigger and bigger, and they're going to start getting some touring comics through there. So starting to build up a little scene. It's awesome to be in at the ground floor. It's been really fun.
That's great.
But I think that's going to do it for tonight. And let me go ahead and play our music. If you would like to email us, you can email us at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. We're at nerdcaveretro.com. We're on Instagram and Twitter at nerdcaveretro, and individually at jfunktastic and at Derek_Diamond. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/nerdcaveretro. And of course, we talked about the Patreon over at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. And if you can't throw us $1 a month, leave us a review wherever you listen to the show, even on Spotify. We're on Spotify. Yes, we are on Spotify. So, Derek, please tell them what it's all about.
Wow.
Master Blaster runs by the town.
That was a fun episode.
It was. I felt like that was one of my better reviews I've done.
Oh, yeah. I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't understand quite the gameplay element of it. I was like, kind of don't get it, but you started to like explain it to me a little bit, and I think I get it. But I'm gonna watch some YouTube videos to kind of get it a little more.
No, you should.
It sounds fun.
It's a good chill game. Like, the music is very calming for all the areas, and literally all you do is you grow Pikmin and use them to carry ship parts and fight enemies.
Dude, I have been playing. Do you ever play the Civ series, Civilization, Sid Meier's Civilization?
Mm-mm.
I picked up a copy of Civilization 6 for the Switch last week or week before. Holy crap, I've been playing that game like crazy. Like, every spare minute I have is spent playing that game. Like, I love the Civ games, and it actually works really well. Like, I loved Civilization Revolution for the Xbox 360. That was probably my favorite Xbox 360 game, and this is very close to it on the Switch. So if you like kind of like that kind of strategy game, like city building and stuff like that, I highly recommend Civilization 6. It's a great on the Switch.
I've heard great things about the Civ games.
I love them.
I've never really gotten into those games too much. I just had an idea. Now that we're doing GameCube games, at some point we got to talk about Halo.
Okay, I'm down with that. I love the
What
first
we
Halo game.
Yeah, like review the first Halo game, and I know two people that would be perfect for it to bring on the show.
Oh, we have to get Wally too, so we'll do a complete round table for that.
No, the two people I were thinking of were Wally and Robbie.
Yeah, because me and Wally, we used to do the LAN parties.
Oh, same with me and Robbie. So we'd have so many stories to tell.
Oh my god, I miss those days. Like that. I don't think I've ever had more fun playing video games than when we used to go over at each other's houses. Like every week, one of us would host it. And we would bring our big ass CRT televisions over. We would each bring an Xbox, and there'd be like 16 of us playing like Halo with all these TVs and Xboxes hooked together in the living room or wherever, just like scattered around the house, and all of us just like screaming at each other and calling each other names and like just eating pizza and drinking beer and like, oh my god, those days were, what happened to those days?
No, that was my sophomore year in high school. That was Friday nights.
Oh man,
we had Mountain Dew instead of beer because I couldn't drink at that point. But
oh, we'd have too. Don't get me wrong, we had the Mountain Dew flowing.
Yeah, no, we had at least 4 or 5 TVs, different Xboxes, and God, if you were caught screen watching,
oh yeah,
you'd get your ass chastised for that.
Yeah, that was a no-no.
Yeah, no, we'll have to do that, at some point, maybe later on in the year.
Oh yeah, that I could talk about those days for a good solid 2-3 hours.
We could probably do a podcast not about the Halo game, but just experiences playing it.
Just talking about the LAN parties.
Yeah. No, that's an idea that we should definitely do.
I'm down with that. I'm really excited about doing the wrestling show. So,
oh, I am too.
I think we're going to get into a drag out fight over which is better. And I want to. Who was your favorite wrestler from the Attitude Era? Because I'm gonna get their theme music. I'm gonna play probably Hulk Hogan to introduce maybe the beginning of the show, and then like whoever's on Team 80s, I'm gonna do the Hulk Hogan theme, and whoever's Team Attitude Era, I'm gonna play the other theme.
It's got to be Stone Cold Steve Austin's theme.
All right, I'll pull that one.
I'm curious as to who's going to be on what side, and I'm curious on if Joey takes the 80s side. It's going to be interesting debating an actual wrestler over what era was better.
I think he's probably going to side with me because me and Joey are really only about a week apart on our age, so we both kind of have the same experiences growing up in that era. And I think he probably loves the 80s era of wrestling as much as I do.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Wally will take my side.
Yeah. I know Wally's a little more of an Attitude Era guy.
Yeah. It'll be a fun
early
discussion.
2000s, so that'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to this episode.
Yeah. Hopefully no friendships will be lost.
We'll settle it in the ring.
That's no fair. You have the actual wrestler on your side.
Yeah. Not my fault.
That's fair. But no, it'll be a fun discussion.
Yeah. But I'm going to go ahead and turn off the Twitch stream. Thank you guys for watching us tonight. And I know there was a lot of people coming in and out. And for those of you that stuck around, still got 2 viewers in there right now. So 3 viewers. Wow. Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. And like I said, we'll be back next Tuesday for I'll be reviewing Terminator Redemption for the GameCube, and then Thursday night we're probably not going to do the wrestling show live because it's going to be kind of hard to do all the different cameras for our setup.
Yeah.
So I think we're just going to record that one as an audio. So that'll be available Friday morning. So you'll get 2 episodes next week. So that'll be fun.
Double the content.
Yep. So if any of you guys in the chat room right now are watching, if you have an opinion on which is better, 80s wrestling, the 80s era, or the Attitude Era, just shoot us an email at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com, and we will read it on the show.
Yes.
And, so we're going to go ahead and stop the stream now. And thank you guys for joining us. We will see you next week. Goodbye.